Hi guys, John McTaggart here. Welcome back to another episode of the YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about something a little bit, what I think is a little bit offbeat, a little bit unique. We're actually going to talk about shooting action with your Fuji X-Pro 1. Something that's definitely not known for, and I'm not trying to sell this camera as a Canon 1DX or a D5 or even a D500 or a Canon 7D Mark II, anything that's more 10, 12 frames a second. That's not what we're getting at all. But what this camera is actually really good for is if you have children that play sports and you want to shoot action, there's absolutely no reason why you can't do this. In fact, this last week I actually took it out on two newspaper assignments that were sports, a girls basketball game and a wrestling meet, and it actually performed extremely well. I've done it several times in the past. I don't like lugging around big cameras anymore, so I use my Fuji stuff. My X-T1 is usually my preference, but I tried it with this week and it worked great. The difference is you have to know your camera, you have to know the game, and sort of do a little predicting about how the game might go or where the action might be, and you have to be patient because it is not really designed to be a fast-paced, fast-moving camera. Even with all the firmware updates, the tracking is not fabulous. But you know what? Don't let that discourage you. This can still be done. So there's a couple basic things we're going to go over today that'll help you give you the best shot. And since it's winter here, these were both indoor sports, obviously, so the light is not very good. I actually set my camera settings to auto ISO, which it shot at 6400 for every single frame in both events. You'll see some photos at the end that I'll kind of show you to give you an idea of what you can expect. I actually use this on, and I will set it to a 1/500th of a second is ideal, depending on the sport you're shooting. For basketball, it's a must. If not, you're going to have some blurriness, and it just won't look very professional. Won't look very good. Wrestling and some of the slower moving sports, you might be able to get away with a little bit lower shutter speed, but not much. If you can stay around 500 or higher, if it's outside, that's even better. And the key here actually is two things. First of all, shoot it as wide open as possible. I shoot everything at 2.8. I can't think of any time I haven't done that in my career, even when I shoot sports. Everything I shoot is wide open, or as wide open as I can get. This is an f2 lens, a 35 f2, which is the lens that I used for both events this week, and I shot it at 2.8. So 2.8, just about wide open. And the second thing is, don't be afraid to use this in the 6 frames per second mode. You go right back onto for those of you that might not know, hit the drive button here, which is over on the left-hand side. Kind of scroll down. You can change it to 6 frames a second or 3 frames a second. Use the 6 and fire away. And I always use the EFV. The optical viewfinder is too hard for me anyway. It's just too hard to use with anything that's moving. But the EFV is actually kind of cool because as you take the shots and the 6 shots at a time it'll give you, you can kind of actually see flashes of each one of them, so you have an idea of what you have. Which actually I kind of liked it after I got used to it. Initially it was a little bit cumbersome, and what I would find, there's a little bit of a lag that's a little more than some of your high-end pro body Canon, Nikon cameras. But you can learn to anticipate that. So you got to kind of be able to predict the moments a little bit. Like in basketball, if someone's going to kind of drive up the lane toward the basket and make a layup, you got to be ready to take that shot before they actually make those moves. Now, sometimes you will be wrong and nothing will happen, but that's okay. I mean, sports in a lot of cases is about volume as much as it is the quality of the shot that you get. You have to shoot a lot of frames generally in a sporting event, and what'll happen is some of the ones you get in there are going to be the ones that you use. So it's not an ideal camera. I would never claim that it would be, but it can work, and I strongly encourage all of you to give it a chance. Just those basic settings. 500th of a second if you can. Shoot it as wide open as possible. Let the ISO be auto. You don't have to really mess with it then. It'll probably go, if you're indoors, you'll probably be shooting at 6400. And honestly, 6400 on this camera is very usable, especially if you're going to use these images for Facebook and social media type purposes. It's not going to print them out into big poster sizes. So don't be afraid of this camera to use for action. In fact, if you cruise around the internet, you're going to find some people doing some amazing stuff with this camera body, action-wise. You just have to be a little more patient, and you got to kind of accept the challenge of it. You know, a lot of these pro bodies, you just kind of point the camera in the right direction, hit the button, it does a lot of the thinking for you. This is a challenge, so you got to be up for that. But I kind of like that. I love it about a lot of facets of this camera, actually. So it makes you a better photographer overall. So that's pretty much it for today. You can shoot action. If you have any action shots you've taken with this, post them in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys can do with this. This is something that I really didn't put a lot of thought into as far as doing, but now that I did, I'm really glad I did. So until the next video, guys, enjoy the images from this wrestling and basketball that was shot with this camera and this setup, actually, the 35 f2 and the X-Pro 1 body. So until next time, guys, thanks. Bye.